Stitch is very proud because she was able to get the background color to be the exact same color.
Look at this.
As the book's background.
We are there. Is it not the same color?
It's the exact same color.
That was my design. Okay.
Okay, what are we gonna learn today?
These bitches be gay for realsies. Like, for realsies.
Okay, none of that fake
No,
gay
not
shit.
like where they're like soulmates and it's just this unspoken marriage. They use the words gay. They use the words homosexual.
Oh.
They use the words relationship.
Oh my.
It's a modern book that's like a modern context and everything. It's like, oh, we actually have to deal with this, but we'll get to that. Okay. When last we met, we learned Shen Wei's identity.
Right. The soul executing emissary.
Yeah, that was shocking.
So the like cutie with the glasses is actually like centuries old god.
Yeah, centuries is putting it lightly. This bitch be ancient, be eldritch even. So we're gonna learn a lot about his identity and origin story. Like, oh, okay, we know who the soul executing emissary is, but what is he?
Right.
Let's get into the beginning of the book. Beautiful romantic cover. Okay, so this volume picks up 2 weeks after we've discovered Shen Wei's identity, and Jiao Yunlan has been sitting with that for a couple weeks. He has not called him. 2 weeks have passed, and Shen Wei has not heard from him since he discovered that he was the soul executing emissary.
Okay, that's kind of not cool.
Yeah. I mean, he's sad about it. Shen Wei's sad about it, but he's like, this is understandable. I am not only a weird sort of co-worker of his, but I'm also
His
this
boyfriend.
weird eldritch being. And Jiao Yunlan, meanwhile, is going through the processing of that. So I don't know. Would you cut him any slack for that, or?
I feel like maybe 2 weeks to him is nothing since he's ancient.
No, that is actually like brought up. He's like, I've literally lived hundreds of thousands of years, and 2 weeks feels like so much time without him contacting me.
Stop.
Yeah, isn't that so sweet?
Well, he better have a good excuse.
Yeah. Okay. And then also, so Shen Wei, we're at Shen Wei's perspective for this beginning part, and he's having sad boy hours over not hearing from him and a little bit self-deprecating. And we get a little bit of his perspective. We don't know too much about him at this point, but we know that he's been around for a very long time. He has this burden of immortality on him, while Jiao Yunlan definitely has been reborn a few times.
Okay.
And we learned that Shen Wei has indulged himself only in a few ways, like being immortal and all-powerful and all that. So even though he's like, I can't be with him, obviously, but I can gaze upon him when he's not looking. I can definitely allow myself like some long lingering glances when he's definitely not looking my way. I could maybe sneak into his house at night and watch him sleep. That's I'll let myself do that.
What?
Yeah, so he's been doing that.
He pulled an Edward.
And if he's drunk, especially, I will like secretly watch over him like a dark guardian angel. So he's giving himself a few things he's allowed himself to do, but
Oh my god.
he's still giving him some distance and hasn't seen him in 2 weeks. So
Well, he's seen him sleeping.
I guess.
What's in Shen Wei's locked bedroom?
Yeah, so as like a creature of immortal darkness, I guess he doesn't actually need to sleep because his bedroom is mysteriously locked, and we're with Shen Wei having his sad boy hours, and he opens his locked bedroom. What do you think is in there?
Maybe like some cursed weapons or something? Oh, is it a pet?
No, on both accounts. Those are good guesses, though. Next slide to see what's in his bedroom.
Oh no.
He has paintings, ancient paintings, paintings through the centuries, all of one man.
Oh my god.
And the paintings turn into photographs once photography is invented.
Stop.
And it's literally just paintings and photos of Jiao Yunlan, like through his reincarnations.
Well, this is kind of like Hua Cheng.
It is. I have a slide for that later.
Oh my god. That's
Yes,
really
literally.
sweet. Like if you're telling a story of like immortality and reincarnation.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
True.
How does he know like each version of him that's been reincarnated?
Yeah, that's a good question.
You can just smell them.
Yes, I think. I guess in one part, like, Zhao Yunlan, I guess, has been the guardian over and over again. So it's like, kind of like, does the Netherworld find him first? Like, and like assign him the job? And then, I don't know. I think he would know him by his souls, probably. Like, he has, like, everyone has some souls, and, like, he'd be able to identify him by that, probably. Okay. But we also do learn that the Chaos King, you know, the weird masked guy, is also able to interfere with Shen Wei finding him. So, like, again, they were, like, for example, like, in this lifetime, why didn't they connect earlier? It's because he couldn't find him.
Because the Chaos King be chaosing.
Be chaosing. Yeah. Funny how that works. We get this, like, amazing scene of him walking in and seeing all of these, like, portraits and photos, and we're like, oh, he's down really bad. So we know that this is no casual thing for him, and it clearly goes back for a very long time through all these reincarnations.
Right.
Meanwhile, we, like, switch to Zhao Yunlan's point of view. He's been drowning his sorrows in alcohol and being sad boy himself over this.
Why is he sad?
Because the soul executing emissary is, like, way cooler than him.
Right.
Like, he's out of his league.
I was the cool guy with the cigarettes, and now I just found out my boyfriend, who I thought was, like, the hot librarian, is actually, like, the devil?
Yes, literally.
That's
and he's
so
also,
badass.
like, he's also thinking, like, I was so cringe with him. I was coming on so strong, and he could have blasted me to smithereens with, like, a look.
But little does he know, he has this whole obsessive room about him.
Yeah, so he's thinking, like,
they're cringe for each other.
They are, and that's beautiful, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, he's been keeping his distance, trying to figure out, like, mostly just, like, coming to terms with how embarrassing he's been.
Right.
But also he hasn't been able to, like, shake how much he really liked Shen Wei. Like, he's, like, before he met Shen Wei, he was a player, for sure, okay? Right. We gotta remember this. But he's unable to really let go of Shen Wei the way he thought he was able to. Like, normally he'd be able to move on pretty quickly, not really catch feelings for anyone, but he is down bad for Shen Wei. What's interesting is we also get a little bit of his internal thoughts on what he craves from a relationship, and what he wants is actually, like, a comfortable intimacy that you would only have with someone who knows you really well, and you know them really well. So it's almost like this reincarnate, like, there's this touch of, like, this reincarnated soul almost craves one person in particular. There's a little bit of soulmateness going on.
The red string is red stringing.
It really is. And there's just really beautiful lines in the book describing how he imagines, like, these two people who know each other and live in their own private world and need only each other. And I think that's really romantic.
I love that.
It borders even on unrealistically romantic, but that's how I feel about you.
That's how I feel about you, too. We understand Hualian's love, and now we understand the soul emissary and cool smoking guy who's been reincarnated a bunch of times love.
Yeah, maybe we've been reincarnated.
I think about that.
Oh, shit. Okay, now I'm gonna think about that. Okay. So, anyways, he is drunk. He walks into work drunk, and everyone's like, you better not have fucking drove to work.
Oh my God.
He Ubered, thankfully. Because I fully believe that he drove himself to work. I was really ready
to cancel this man.
I was ready to cancel him or excuse the drunk driving. I didn't really want to have to do that. So thankfully, he didn't drive himself.
Good.
But his coworkers call Shen Wei. They're like, give me your phone. I'm calling Shen Wei to pick you up.
They're like, you're so messy.
They're like, they're setting him up. They don't know that he's the soul executing emissary, so they're like, we know you like this guy. We're going to do you a solid.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And Shen Wei picks up on the first ring. And he is like, here's the assignment. He's like, I'm on my way.
Oh
Immediately shows up. Like, Zhao Yunlan is pissed at his coworker for, like, calling him and, like, tries to fight him for doing that. And Shen Wei is just, like, gently disarming him from attacking his coworker and just, like, gently tucking him into the car. He left listen, the details that Priest gives us are so romantic, okay? Yeah. He's like, he left the car running for him so that it would stay warm.
Stop.
He, like, tucks him in gently, like, buckles him in. He gives him water and a blankie.
He doesn't chastise him, does he?
Not at all.
Oh.
Like, he's just taking care of him in the most... It's really interesting because it's in very human ways. He's not, like, disconnected from the human experience of being fucking wasted.
Yeah.
He, like, takes care of him so well.
Aww.
And not in a weird vampire, I don't know what to fucking do with how to take care of a human. Like,
yeah.
That's beautiful. I really love that.
Yeah.
That's the angle.
He has tact.
Yes. We love this man. Shenwei takes him back to his apartment. Like, he's laying there. I feel like he's done this multiple times at point, but he's kind of like, he's super drunk, but he's also even pretending to be drunker than he is, so he can, like, escape having to have a conversation with this man.
Right.
So he's like, he's like, I'm passed out. This is fine. I'm pretending to sleep, so I don't have to deal with the embarrassment that I've created for myself with this situation.
Right.
But he's listening to him just, like, putz around his apartment, like, tidying things and, like, making things comfortable for him, and he's just like, I love him so much.
Oh.
And so as he's pretending to sleep, Shenwei, as he's like tucking him into bed, just has a moment of weakness and steals the faintest brush of a kiss.
Oh my god.
Isn't that great?
Oh my god. This is so sappy.
Right?
And they know each other's identities at this point, right?
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, okay. I love how they know each other's identities, but it's still like he's being a housewife and stealing little kisses. It's not like we have to, like, cut our hands open and exchange our blood or...
Oh, we'll get to the cutting of the hands and the blood and everything. Don't... These two can't be normal for long.
Okay.
Speaking of which, yeah, Jiao Yunnan, like, pretending to sleep and feeling that is like, oh, nope, the restraint is gone. So he, like, bolts awake and is, like, suddenly, like, pinning him down and, like, turns the tables on him and kisses him, like, realsies kisses. So he's like, this is a grown-up kiss. Yeah.
Yes.
And then, untactfully, like, demands a confession from him. He's like, what the fuck is going on? Like, you like me. I spent all this time chasing you, but you really like me, too.
Yeah.
He's like, so why are we not dating?
Nice.
Yeah, so I gotta read that scene because it's a little bit juicy, right? So, like, at first, like, he opens his eyes and immediately starts teasing him for, like, oh, my lord, stealing a kiss? I thought you were a gentleman. Like, Shenwei cannot catch a break. We love him, though. And he's like, and also, like, you steal a kiss and it's, like, the chastest, most, like, virginal, maidenly kiss.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Come on, we can do better than that. So he immediately goes for it. So he gives him a really good kiss, and then nose to nose, Jiao Yunnan says lightly, now that is what an expert kiss should be like. Like, he is such
He's a little
such
player.
a brat.
Yeah.
Such a little brat. Like, I feel like you could really project Wang Shen onto this. After that kiss, after which he was no longer sure which of them was intoxicated. Okay, I'm skipping over all the juicy bits. You gotta read that for yourself. Okay. Jiao Yunnan brushed the stray hairs on Shenwei's forehead back. Mouth at Shenwei's ear, he said, let me ask you something. You've been avoiding me for ages, and yet you've never just completely stayed away. Did you do something terrible to me once, or are you afraid of falling into my trap? What are you so worried about, humans and ghosts not belonging together? Now, Shenwei actually takes this really seriously. Like, Jiao Yunnan is ready to, like, I'd date a ghost. I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
But Shenwei is, like, definitely has some larger concerns.
Right.
Last bit of flushed color drained from his face as Shenwei recoiled, his hands curled into fists on either side of Jiao Yunnan. Then he reached out to push him away. Grabbing Shenwei's hand, Jiao Yunnan forced his fist open, finger by finger. Stop trying to fight me and stop trying to fight yourself. Shenwei, whatever you are, the soul executing emissary or something else, I'm brave enough to say I'm into you. What about you? Do you have the balls to admit it?
Oh my god.
Like, look, give him a break. He's just taking care of you and you were, like, attacking him. Shenwei squeezed 2 words from between his teeth. Let go. Jiao Yunnan ignored him. No, I'm just a mortal. He forced his fingers between Shenwei's, intertwining them and then gripping tight. Their hands were locked together as if they were grappling, knuckles turning blue. A mortal's life is just like an ant's. The seasons blur together and then it's over, just like that. Death and farewells are written on our fates. I'm not afraid of destiny or being struck down by lightning, and I'm not afraid of you. I don't know how long my life will be. I could die tomorrow, and I don't want... Shenwei clapped a hand over Jiao Yunnan's mouth, cutting off that inauspicious sentence. So this is important to hear, okay? Because we really get a good slice of Jiao Yunnan's flippant attitude towards life and death and what it means to be mortal human and what it means, like, to face those inevitable goodbyes, which are hard enough when you're dating another human, but are really hard when you're dating an immortal godlike figure.
It's almost a little selfish.
It is. It's not thinking about what Shenwei would have to go through.
Yeah.
You know, for him it would be a blink of an eye, his lifetime passing. He's ready to put it all in line knowing that. He's saying, I know the consequences. I'm not afraid. And he's telling him, you shouldn't be afraid either. But, like, that's also a lot to ask of someone who really, really likes you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But remember that attitude, because it's definitely, this is something that has followed him through multiple lifetimes, which is really interesting.
So Shenwei's like, you're a little brat every time I come across you.
Yeah.
Have they ever been intimate in any of his other incarnations?
That's a good question. We're definitely going to see a little bit more of their backstory together, like, from, like, where it started.
Mm-hmm.
Less so of, like, what happened in between. I don't know how much there is.
Okay.
I'm thinking probably not, based on Shenwei's reservations. He doesn't seem to have any memories of them being that intimate together, so this could very well be a first. I'm not sure. So, Shenwei is very resistant and feels very put on the spot by this, so eventually Jiao Ninlong kind of gives him a break and refuses to answer, so he lets him go.
Okay.
But he drops another bomb on Shenwei almost immediately, so next slide.
U-Haul lesbians!
Yes, it turns out they're actually lesbians. So Jiao Yunlan, after scaring the living daylights out of Shenwei with this whole confession scene, is like, yeah, so, you know how my office is relocating? Well, I already kind of bought a house because of that. I bought it closer to where the office is going to be relocating. And I bought it really close to the campus where you're working. And I kind of already imagined us, like, living together domestically, and how, like, I bought a bigger house. I bought a house bigger than I needed because it, like, had an extra room you could use as a study, and, like, you wouldn't have to walk. You wouldn't have to drive to work anymore. You could, like, sleep in, and, like, we could sleep in together.
Stop!
And you could walk to work. It's so close to where you work. Like, he's already envisioned their life together like this.
They haven't even had sex yet.
They haven't.
Okay.
They haven't even acknowledged their feelings for each other openly.
Yeah.
And he's already bought a house for them together. And, like, to his credit, he's like, okay, it wasn't, like, the main motivation behind that. It already was, like, but I definitely made an impulse decision kind of assuming we would be together.
They're both so down bad for each other.
I love that.
Me too.
I love that it's not... I feel like we're used to seeing a little bit more one-sided extreme devotion. You know, like, it's always Hua Cheng who's a few steps ahead, you know?
Yeah.
It's always Long Wenji a few steps ahead, you know, just kind of laying out things nicely, waiting for their love interest to catch on and accept these big gestures. But they're both down bad equally in their own ridiculous ways.
Wow.
And now he's like, and now I realize this was a dumb idea. Why is it a bad idea and a dumb idea? Because you're immortal and you could just teleport places. You don't have to walk.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
He's like, that was his miscalculation. I love that he's an idiot. And we get a little bit more of Shenwei's perspective on this and how he is so lonely. Shenwei is so lonely because he has... it doesn't explain necessarily all the details on why. We'll get to that in a bit. But he has no equal. There is no other soul-executing emissary. He has no peer. Everyone either fears him or plots against him in the Netherworld. He has lived for millennia without having anyone he could rely on and be with. And this is enough to really drive, I think, any other creature insane, right? Like, that would make anyone a little cray-cray over time. But right now, after experiencing all of that, this is where he feels crazy. This is the moment where he feels like this insane desire that is so powerful that it could destroy him. Like, he is a creature of darkness, born from brutality and evil and chaos, with this desire to kill deeply in him, which we haven't seen. We have a pretty good impression of Shenwei. We feel like we could trust him with a lot of things. And we haven't seen it because Shenwei is thinking about an oath he made thousands and thousands of years ago to a person.
Oh, okay.
A person that is his sole reason for existence. Intriguing, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
What does that mean? We'll find out later. But we're kind of getting... This volume is a lot to take in because we're getting a lot of these, like, plot things hinted at, even during, like, romantic moments. So it's a mystery is unraveling before us. And in this kind of overview and PowerPoint of the book, I've kind of sorted things out in a different order to how they're revealed in the book, because it can be a little bit confusing to not know things and then try to explain them. So, a little disclaimer there. Anyways, Shen Wei finally responds that his existence is unlucky and that he can only bring harm to Jiao Yunlan. And so he's like, I am not boyfriend material. I am darkness material. I'm evil material.
Okay.
But internally, he's already blaming and loathing himself for the weakness that caused them to meet. Like, he had a moment of weakness, and
he's having more than a moment of weakness. It's not like, oh, I slipped up. Like,
Okay, yeah, you're right. We're past that. But he's at least saying, like, if we at least never met, I wouldn't be in this situation right now. But because of that, I'm already in over my head.
Got it.
And Jiao Yunlan finally just says, look, here's my heart. Like, this is almost word for word. He's like, here's my heart. Take it or leave it.
Wow.
Yeah. He's like, I'm telling you how I feel. You can either take it or leave it, and I'll respect that, but it's that simple. It's not more complicated than that. Shen Wei can't resist. So, in this moment, he is thinking to himself, one human lifetime is so short, but because it's so short, he can't help but let himself have just this much.
Okay.
So he agrees. He hugs Jiao Yunlan and agrees to be together.
Wow.
Isn't what a sweet moment. It would be a shame if he made it weird.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, though, like, what's the alternative? Like, no, we can't be together. I am going to admire you from afar for all of eternity, but we cannot be boyfriends.
Yeah. That would just be too much.
That's so funny. Okay. How do we make it weird?
So Shen Wei hugs him so tightly, and you're like, oh, what a sweet moment. Shen Wei is having a capital M moment, though. Like, this is a lot for him to, like, succumb to all at once. Like, Jiao Yunlan's like, fuck, this is sweet. I got a boyfriend now. He is like, I am so weak, and I experienced, this has been millennia in the coming, so, he is unable to weep, and so instead of weeping, he bites his own hand. Like, he's got his arms around Jiao Yunlan, and he bites his own hand behind his back, and is bleeding profusely from his hand. Like, there's a picture of it in the book.
But instead of letting out tears, he's letting out his blood.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Isn't that is like...
That's batshit.
It's metal. I love it. It's romantic. It's gothic level romance. So, like, this is the moment we've got here.
That's pretty hot.
It's hot. I love that.
I thought you were gonna say he got a boner.
That's like the only thing that could make this worse. They would. I'm surprised they didn't, honestly. Then Jiao Yunlan's like, why the fuck did you bite your hand, bro? That's so weird. Stop. I'm gonna go get the first aid kit. Why are you like this? Immediately ruining the romantic sweetness of the moment. And, like, Shen Wei's like, he is dialed in, as the kids say, as I am now saying. So now that he's committed to this relationship, he is uber serious about it. So he says, I accept. In this lifetime, whether dead or alive, I won't let you go again. Even if one day you've had enough or tire of me, even if you want to leave me, I'll never let you go. And he's like, oh, that's sweet, babe. Babe, why are you bleeding?
Oh my gosh.
And then he says, if you must die, it must be in my arms and by my hand. I'm like...
And by my hand?
I love that. Like, you're not allowed to die, only I'm allowed to kill you.
Yeah.
I'm like, even I was like, okay. That's a bit... I love that. I'm like, I wish you would say that to me. I'm like, I love that.
Hey, we do say that to each other. Oh, yeah, no, if you die, I'll kill you.
Yeah, we do say that. So he drops that raw as fuck line. And what is Jiao Yunlan's response? Please shut up. He's like getting the first aid kit out. He's just like, please shut up.
Oh my god.
Why do you go insane at the drop of a hat?
That is so funny.
Isn't that hilarious?
That is so funny. Oh my god.
Yeah. And then they go to sleep next to each other.
Oh.
I'm sure Jiao Yunlan thought he was gonna get lucky, but, like, they really just have a innocent snuggle party.
It's like, he's like, yeah, I would like it if we could bang, but I don't think you could handle this.
Yeah, kind of. So, the next morning, we are graced as readers with another beautiful scene. Shen Wei sleeps for once. Doesn't usually need to do that, I guess. And then he wakes up to his new boyfriend greeting him with breakfast in bed. How sweet is that? Except Jiao Yunlan can't take care of himself, never mind another full-grown man. So he wakes him up with the most fucked up ramen combinations possible. Like I cannot stress this enough. There are 5 different instant ramen cups, okay? They're all kind of weird flavors, but then he went and customized them to make them weirder.
Okay.
Like, if I didn't know him, this would be a hate crime. So I need to tell you what he brings. We're starting off a little bit tame. We have braised beef noodles made with water. Like, what else would they be made with, sir? Okay. Aged pickled cabbage noodles made with milk. Oh, I don't know about the pickled cabbage with the milk. Maybe it's normal to make some ramen with milk, but that doesn't seem right. Mushroom and chicken noodles. Okay. Made in the microwave with some water and butter. Oh, that sounds greasy.
Sounds pretty American.
I'd probably eat that. Seafood noodles. Though I thought they were a little bland, so I added a spoonful of sweet bean sauce. I'm like, oh, and maybe not the sweet bean sauce with the seafood, but okay. And finally, bacon cream noodles made with, guess,
ketchup.
Hot coffee.
Ew, like in the noodles?
Instead of water, he made it with coffee.
Okay, I have thought about putting coffee in cereal before, because then you're just like 2 birds, 1 stone.
Right? And a cereal is kind of a sweeter thing. Yeah. I can see the thought process there.
Yeah.
Ramen?
No.
Bacon cream ramen.
Yeah, no.
With coffee. And he's being dead serious.
Like, he eats this himself. Oh my god, that's weird.
That is weird.
One Danmei boy always has to be a bad chef.
It's true, and it had to be him. So Shenwei accepts politely, probably chooses to eat the more normal ones of the bunch, kind of slips in a little comment casually being like, you probably shouldn't be eating this every day. Processed foods like this are bad for you.
Oh my god.
But he does eat it.
Wow.
So
that's hilarious.
Okay, so enough fluff. We're getting down and dirty with the real questions here. Next slide.
Okay. What exactly is the soul executing emissary?
Okay. So right now we've seen a lot of angst on Shenwei's side about him being not human. But that doesn't really answer our questions as a reader as to, like, what actually is he? Because personally, I mean, I was having a hard time buying the problem. Like, okay, yeah, you're immortal and he's human. That's your typical Edward Cullen problem.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But he seems to be, like, really down on himself about, like, being not human, about being this other thing. So I was curious as to, like, really what the meat of the problem was. But to understand what the soul executing emissary is, what he is, where he came from, we have to understand the entire history and origin of the world. We have to understand the whole Bible, so to speak.
Okay.
But all of this information is revealed in the book, but it's revealed in a extensive flashback at the very end. And personally, I found it very hard to understand at the end, and I feel like it will illuminate more putting that information earlier in this slideshow. So there will be major spoilers. There will be a lot of information. Hopefully it will be easier. If you've read the book and you had a hard time with it, hopefully it will make things easier to understand. If you plan on reading the book, hopefully it will make things easier to understand. But yeah, a lot of information coming up front. Okay. So next slide. I literally wrote the whole Bible.
Oh my god.
For everyone's benefit here.
Okay.
And because it is so long and so detailed, I do have to read it word for word what I wrote before. I put a lot of work into this.
Okay. I'm ready to listen.
I reread through all of the chapters and sifted out the details from the streamlined version. So when you read the book, you will get a lot more information, but this I feel like is what you need to understand.
Okay.
To get through everything. Okay, so, and also another disclaimer, this is a mixture of, like, real world Chinese mythology that, like, applies to, like, not only multiple Danmei books, but, like, just Chinese history and culture in general. Mm-hmm. And then there are some, like, extra details and changes made by priests personally. So in this story, you'll have a little bit of, like, the equivalent of, like, the Genesis story that you would recognize from other media and whatnot, and new details that you wouldn't recognize. So Don't be surprised if you encounter some of the same characters or stories in other things. So it's very interesting. Yeah. Okay. In the beginning, there was chaos and darkness. Then a very big guy with an axe, not to be confused with Paul Bunyan, split the chaos open, separating the heavens from the earth. His name was Pangu, by the way. To be fair, this took thousands of years, during which birds and beasts and mystical things like the Wu and Yao started popping up. After the earth and heavens were really far apart, the three sovereigns showed up. Each of these three powerful deities had an important role to play in the creation of humans and the consequences to follow. One of the three sovereigns was a goddess named Nua. One day, she made these little guys out of mud and called them humans. There was only one small problem with that: the mud. The mud of the earth was still filled with the evil chaos that existed before time and creation itself, and this contamination resulted in humans having the capacity for evil as well. Any questions so far?
No, actually, if you guys know Ty, the Canadian, he did a little Chinese history series that tells this story.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's so cool. So this is familiar to you. See, that would be so helpful. This was all new to me, so I was really struggling. I was like, who the fuck are the three sovereigns? They actually, kind of forget to remind you who the sovereigns are, so I actually had to go back and figure out which of the gods were sovereigns. Yeah, anyways, it was a whole thing. Okay, so Nua was really upset that her creations were fucked, so she asked another of the three sovereigns, the god Fuxi, to help her create a seal on the earth. I'm not sure if this is where Priest starts to deviate or not, but this great seal forced the chaotic darkness far, far down beneath the earth. Then Nua took a branch from the great divine tree and planted it at the base of the seal, naming all beneath it to be the place of great disrespect, which I had a hard time taking seriously as a name, but
that's pretty funny.
It is pretty funny. Fuck everything underneath the seal. This great disrespect.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just disrespectful that you even exist. Okay. Anyways, although they put in all this work to seal away the chaos once and for all, the seeds had already been planted in the world, which descended into war among humans, gods, and demons alike. So gods are fighting gods, humans are fighting humans, the demons and the Yao and the Wu are all fighting each other. The earth sucks. So one of these gods, though, was Kunlun Jun. So Kunlun Jun was born from the spirit of the great mountain Kunlun, which was created when Pangu's axe broke and fell to earth. Okay? And the head of the axe fell and became a mountain, and that was Kunlun Mountain. So after hundreds of thousands of years, that mountain developed a spirit, and that spirit was a little guy named Kunlun. Okay. And Kunlun ruled over 10,000 mountains and rivers in the Great Wild, and he was referred to as the mountain god of the Great Wild. He witnessed both the creation of humans and the Great Seal and the wars to follow, but always stayed secluded on his mountain with his pet Yao, a little cat. He sheltered the Wu and Yao on his mountains until they too were drawn into the wars and killed in vast numbers. At this point, Kunlun began to come to the conclusion that there would never be an end to this violence, that indeed these wars were allowed to happen within heaven's will, and the heavens had no intention of intervening. You see, while we are used to thinking of gods and deities as the highest powers, this isn't the case in Chinese mythology. I've not done a lot of independent research on this topic, but essentially the concept of the heavens and heaven's will is the natural order of things, tied to the sense of inevitable fate and karma that everyone falls under, gods and ghosts and humans alike. So if you go against heaven's will, you could be struck down by lightning. If you follow heaven's will, you could be rewarded with merits. Even gods and demons and ghosts cannot go against this abstract but very physically present will of heaven. And this is what Kunlun begins to question the authority of, which is big no-no for gods. In the chaos of gods fighting each other, the Great Seal is damaged and it releases tens of thousands of Gui, fearless creatures of darkness who only think to kill and consume. And he very peacefully decides to take matters into his own hands. Using the soul fire on his left shoulder, everyone has 3 ethereal souls and 7 corporeal souls, by the way.
Okay.
We all get one, so he's got a few to spare. He takes the soul and he aids the Gui by breaking apart the pillars of heaven holding the earth and sky apart. And he does this not because he particularly sides with the Gui, but because he wants a clean slate for the world by cutting off the path to heaven.
Okay.
Now, the Gui are truly creatures born from evil in the place of great disrespect. The lowest of them are beastly monsters, but higher in the hierarchy are the Yochu, who are only vaguely in the shape of humans, but still more human-like, with twisted features covered in oozing sores, brutally consumed with the task of feeding.
Ew.
Yeah, gross. But the most powerful among the Yochu are the two kings of the Gui. And they were ethereal, beautiful beyond compare to gods and humans alike, despite feeding like beasts on raw flesh, even of their own kind. They're just mega hot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Apparently, very key information, okay? Anyways, one day, Kunlun runs into one of the kings. And this king of the Gui looks like a human boy with black hair and black eyes. And he's alone. They strike up a conversation in which this little king tells him that he doesn't want to be like the other Gui who only think of killing and eating, and he would rather die than live in a way not of his own choosing. This really impresses Kunlun, okay?
Because Kunlun was already like, I don't know if I like this whole fate thing.
Yeah, like he too also, just because like there is a natural order, just because there is fate that he is bound to, doesn't believe that he is like beholden to that when he sees the results of it. And like similarly, the king of the Gui is also saying, I see my fate, what I've been allotted by the will of heaven, and I don't like it, and I'm gonna choose to be different, and I'd rather die than not have that.
Yeah, okay.
So, very cool. So, they kind of find themselves to be kindred spirits. But anyways, the king of the Gui had been trapped beneath the seal his whole life, knowing nothing else was out there, but now that he's seen the beauty of the world, he doesn't want to go back. And so he has kind of an odd appreciation of the world, even as he's kind of morbidly chewing on a Yochu, like he's got blood and gore all over his mouth while having this conversation. He's a little bit embarrassed about that, but it's just how it is. He still really sees the beauty of the world, and this is the world that Kunlun wants to save.
Mm-hmm.
Kunlun unexpectedly feels like this boy understands him in a way no one else does, and lets him follow him around.
Okay.
Yeah, classic Don May mistake. The boy's gonna be obsessed with you. Meanwhile, as the natural order slowly caves in and threatens to return the world to chaos, Nuwu is girl-bossing as hard as she can to replace the pillars of heaven and fix the Great Seal, even at the cost of sacrificing herself as a giant goddess band-aid.
Okay.
That's how we get the 4 pillars and the crappy seal on the verge of breaking it. So she does her job. We've got the 4 pillars back up in the sky, keeping everything apart. We've got the seal fixed, but it's still kind of leaking evil every once in a while. That's kind of the modern situation, and that's how we got there. Anyways, at the same time that's happening, Kunlun is dying. Turns out that going against the will of heaven is indeed an exercise in futility, and his strength is slowly waning from the sheer effort of swimming directly upstream from fate. And the only one left at his side is the young king of the Gui. Or everything else is just out of his hands, but at the very least he can protect the king from being put behind the Great Seal again, and grant his wish of not being a Gui. He gives him the soul fire from his left shoulder, and pulls a literal tendon out of his divine body.
Oy.
Just yanks it right out very painfully, which makes the king of the Gui divine in turn. Basically gives him his godhood.
Okay.
And as his one last fuck you to the heavens, he asked the king to watch over the seal for all eternity to prevent it from breaking again. To put that into context, he took a creature of darkness who doesn't even have a living soul, made him into a god, and then made him a load-bearing part of the natural order, and quite possibly the only thing standing between the world and eternal chaos for the rest of eternity.
Okay.
So, that king, granted godhood from this dying mountain spirit, is the sole executing emissary who has lived for millennia since, fulfilling his duty, this promise he made.
Keep the seal.
Keep the seal from breaking.
Cool.
Maintain that order to prevent the world from falling into chaos. Even though Kunlun, again, kind of wanted the seal to break, kind of wanted everything to fall apart and return to chaos, and so that things could start over. He failed, and of course he didn't want war and destruction, so now...
But he still dipped his fingers in by making the king of the Gui be in charge of things, which was not intended in fate at all.
Yeah. Okay. So, here we have it. And that explains why the Netherworld doesn't trust him.
Yeah.
And you also think, they're thinking, like, when it comes down to it, someone's gonna have to pull a Nua and sacrifice themselves for the seal. We don't think that the soul executing emissary is going to do that, because it took him so much effort to cultivate even a physical form then he's not going to want to do it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
They don't have a lot of faith in the Ghost King.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. But, so... he has then turned into, boy crazy lover boy who has to bite his hand when he's overstimulated with his boyfriend's love.
Yeah, I don't know where the overwhelming lovey-dovey of devotion came from in this process. Yeah, that was a bonus, I guess. Yeah.
I feel like I just need to give you props for writing that out in a way that was clear and, like, in layman's terms.
Thank you so much. There's a lot of names and details about the wars that I took out because I think those really tripped me up a lot, and they're interesting and a little bit important, but not part of the main thread line here. So you'll definitely would get a lot more information from reading the book, of course, and going through those chapters, but hopefully that is enough of a starting point to really understand the importance as it applies to Shen Wei.
The absolute too long didn't read is there was a god guy that gave a ghost guy a job.
Yes. Yes, he did. And he was really good at that job for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years until the modern day where he put on glasses and started and was just so sexy. He's just so hot. But he was hot from the beginning, so...
He didn't have a corporal form.
He got that later. Yeah, so that's who Shen Wei is.
Okay.
Hopefully that answers some questions.
That's cool.
Yeah, so back to the plot. Yes, over there. We care about that still. So there's been a case of mysterious poisonings. And the victims are at the hospital. So Jiao, hops back on the job. But he also drags his new boyfriend along because he literally says, like, you are going to get cold feet about this relationship. So I'm literally not letting you out of my sight. We are holding hands.
Oh my god.
And I'm going to work.
That's so funny.
And he walks into his office, dragging Shen Wei along. He's like, this is my partner. We are in a gay relationship. Yep.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And so he's like we're literally like supernatural law and order investigators. You can't just bring in a random guy. He's like, nope, that is my boyfriend. He is an insider now. So he kind of just gave him a huge security clearance.
Also, but they're like, no, like, he's a normie. This is paranormal stuff.
He's like, no, he knows his stuff for realsies. He doesn't tell them who he is, but he's just like,
funny.
Trust me. He will be able to take the psychological element.
Does his branch of the X-Files know about the soul executing emissary too?
Yep.
So they're
They're aware that he exists.
That their boss is actually... It's undercover boss.
Yes, literally. And they're just like, you can't just bring a normie boyfriend in. We literally, like, fight ghosts for a living. He's like, no, he'll be fine.
That is so funny.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yep. There's one girl in the office who has, like, a crush on Jiao Yunlan who's just, like, biting her handkerchief over this. And it's, like, really, like, no, we cannot have outsiders here, especially not boyfriends.
Wow.
How dare you? Not in a homophobic way, just in a disappointed way.
Yeah.
So, we love that. But anyways, they go to the hospital. They set up like a big elaborate trap on the roof. This is some Scooby-Doo shit. Like, everyone's involved. It's this whole thing. Shen Wei is actually there to be like, oh yeah, I'll stand guard at this pivotal point in the array so that in case the spirit escapes, his escape will be blocked off. And everyone's like, how the fuck does he know where to go in the array? Like, they're actually starting to think, oh, this isn't a normie. Who the hell is he? Where did you find this random beautiful gay man who knows everything about our work? It's amazing. So, they set up the trap. The spirit is there. The spirit is very angry and scary. And then, you may be wondering why I have Aragorn on this slide. Well, this is him with the army of the dead, right? This becomes relevant because Jiao Yunlan just casually summons a fucking ghost army by cutting his hand open and using human malice to summon the resentful spirits of the dead.
Oh. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he's not supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure that's forbidden sorcery. Would you assume?
I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah. He read a fucking book in the library, the investigator's ghost library.
That's so funny.
And is like, this sounds sick as fuck, I'm gonna do it. Definitely against the law, probably somewhere. And so they capture the resentful spirit because he summoned the fucking ghost army. But then Shen Wei pulls him aside, right? He's pissed. He is pissed.
Is it because he cut his hand, though? Not because of the ghosts?
You would think, right?
Okay,
because he's so romantic.
Yeah.
But he actually almost slaps him because he summoned the fucking ghost army. And me personally, I'm like, come on, he's deity, the soul cutie emissary. This is what he does.
We're not in any real danger because you're
right,
here.
like, okay, yeah, it's forbidden sorcery, but I feel like he's like, I almost trusted him with drunk driving. I feel like
Yeah.
I was ready to give him a pass for this, even though I know this is probably like illegal. I was like, how bad can it be, right? It's just ghosts, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, why is he actually this concerned, right? He's not even concerned about his hand bleeding. He's like, you should not have done this.
It's not like a don't go into the dark arts, is it?
I will a little bit because Jiao Yunlan is messing with stuff he doesn't actually understand. But I think this is a good example of Jiao Yunlan being a very flippant person when it comes to things you should and shouldn't do.
Right.
Good and evil, life and death, the order of the three realms, gods in the heavens, consequences in general. So this is a good example of him just not giving a shit and doing what he wants.
Right.
But Jiao Yunlang sees how upset he is, and he thinks like, you know what? I'm gonna go with a very sincere, sorry babe, I was wrong. I'm killing this good, non-toxic relationship ship. I said, sorry babe, I was wrong. Like, word on word babe included and stuff. He's like, that's good, I'm covered. That pretty much covers summoning the ghost army, right? Shen Wei is like, don't even try to fool me like you would fool your past lovers with that bullshit. I know you're not for realsies. He's like, okay, so words aren't working. So what does our idiot protagonist do? He's like, okay, words aren't working. I'll just kiss him. That'll solve everything.
Stop. Oh my god.
Things not to do with your boyfriend who's mad at you. But it actually works to his credit. Shen Wei is so flustered.
Oh my god.
And
that's so embarrassing for him.
I know, literally. It's like, have some self-respect. But he actually gets so flustered by this kiss and is like, gets really distracted, and he's like more focused on fixing up his hand. So thank you, Shen Wei, for enabling his shitty boyfriend behavior. Oh, and he heals his hand instantly, by the way. Shen Wei just like magics that up.
Well, okay.
But you know how I explained the place of disrespect? Shen Wei, okay, magics up his hand, scolds him for being shameless, gets more distracted by the shamelessness of kissing than the shamelessness of summoning a ghost army, and really acknowledges that he's wrapped around Jiao Yunlang's finger. But the reason why, and I don't think he tells Jiao Yunlang this, he just tells him he shouldn't do this. But secretly, the reason why he was so upset isn't because he summoned a ghost army, but because the ghost army wasn't ghosts.
Oh.
The ghost army actually summoned the Gui from the place of great disrespect.
Oh.
They masqueraded to look like spirits of the undead, but that was actually creatures of fucking darkness.
So like hella evil
from
ghosts.
The hella evil place of great disrespect.
So he's like, oh, these are just like normal ghosts we normally hang out with. And he's like, no, these are fucking like supreme level ghosts.
Yeah, this is like next level, like, it's like you basically summon demons instead of like ghosts.
Right, yeah.
Like next level,
Isn't
like,
that
don't be
funny, just as an aside, like using Western terms,
Yeah.
like we kind of know the idea of
right.
like
summoning
a demon.
your dead grandpa who's a little bit like who like served in World War II or something is different from summoning a fucking demon pretending to be your grandpa.
It's interesting how in different cultures we have different rankings of ghosts.
Yeah.
That's so
That's
funny.
so interesting. Yeah, so that's why he's upset, because like he's fucking with like, and so because Jiao Yunlan did that, guess what's leaking again? The Great Seal. Like, he kind of fucked with the seal.
That's his job.
Yes, and so now he has to like take off after that to go fix the seal, because
Gotta
Jiao
go put
Yunlan's Yunlan's like ripping off the duct tape, holding it together to summon an army.
It's like, I was given one job.
But, okay, so to go into the specifics though, it's like they caught this ghost that was putting people in the hospital, and okay, these people in the hospital, they're screaming, they're in absolute agony, and they're saying it's poison. No, it's not. It's a ghost fucking with them, and they're screaming that like their legs feel like they've been chopped off. Okay, so this ghost doesn't have legs. Okay, so it's a little something like that. But let's go into, they caught the ghost that was causing all these poisonings, and we get to learn a lot about the karma system behind ghosts and revenge and whatnot. while this ghost is sitting in a chair being interrogated. Okay, so next.
You mess with my cabbages, you get the stabbages.
Yes.
Did you make this?
No, I just found
That
it.
already existed.
Yeah, it was quite fitting.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen Avatar, but I know about the cabbage guy. Poor man, his cabbage is getting fucked up. It's enough to make someone go fucking crazy. So maybe that's kind of what happened here, right? Okay. So, to start with the system of merits and sins, okay? Merits and sins, good things and bad things, are recorded as a dark or light spot behind a human's ear, okay? So if you have done a lot of good things, you're going to have a bright, radiant, glowing light behind your ear that you can't see. Or if you've committed a bunch of sins, it's going to be a dark, black spot, and it probably is even spread quite a bit across your neck and whatnot.
Cool.
And, depending on severity, you could have a kind of a grayish sort of spot of you've committed some minor sins, but like pirating movies doesn't really count as a sin. It's just a little bit bad, right? So according to severity, there's some wiggle room there. And there is an interesting legal system of justice and karma in place for ghosts, okay? So ghosts are allowed to enact proportionate revenge if they have been wronged in life, and they pursue that vengeance after death. That's allowed. That is actually allowed. If you got fucked over by... If someone killed you in life... I mean, if someone killed you... you were alive, and then someone killed you. Just murdered you for no good reason. You're allowed to fucking go after them when if you turn out to be a resentful spirit.
And it's not like a sin.
And it's not. Like, you'll get... if you get caught or apprehended, or you go to the netherworld after that, like, if that, like...
It's good.
All you want
You're good.
You're good. The courts
fine.
will be like in your favor.
Okay.
But the special crimes division that like Jiao Yunnan and his coworkers work at, they get involved if the revenge is misdirected or disproportionate. And so what they found with these victims that were getting fucked over by this ghost, like the victims behind their ears had like a dark spot that wasn't very dark. It was kind of grayish. It wasn't really indicating a deep sin or a deep connection to the vengeful ghost. Okay?
Yeah. So why are you getting such a terrible punishment if you really didn't do something that bad?
It wasn't completely unconnected either. They sensed a small connection to the original ghost, but just a small sin. And so this goes into a really this ghost ends up being a really interesting example of how, the special crimes division has to get involved and interpret the crime and whether or not it's warranted or not. So, because this system of judgment requires outside judgment on what is fair and unfair in certain cases. So, in the case of this revengeful spirit, he was a fruit seller in life.
Okay.
He had a fruit stand on the road, and he worked really hard to take care of his wife and child, and I think it was on like New Year's Eve. He was selling fruit on the street. He was inadvertently killed by the greed of others. What happened was, his fruit stand, got knocked over or something, and all the oranges were spilling out everywhere. Instead of helping him pick up the fruit and give them back to him, because he desperately needs this money, for his family, for New Year's, people start kind of pocketing the oranges and as they're walking by, and they're not helping him. They're just, this is the minor offense. It's a minor offense of... picking up some fruit you saw lying on the street.
Every one of you orange stealers are getting it now.
Yeah. And what happened was this fruit seller, he tried to chase after the people who stole the oranges, and then the roads were icy. A taxi driver tried to brake and just hit him.
Okay.
And killed him. He died cursing all the fuckers who stole his oranges and caused him to die. Because after he died, his wife and child were, left defenseless without a provider. So of course what he did afterwards was go home as a ghost and kill his wife and child so they wouldn't have to suffer without him. But so he's a little twisted.
Maybe you get a little twisted as a ghost.
Yeah, you gotta get he ended up pretty fucked up as a ghost and went and murdered his wife and child afterwards, and then started working on everyone who stole his oranges. So the karmic line connecting the revenger and the victim of the revenge was very faint.
Right.
It was there, but it was faint. And so everyone in this room was now has to decide, was this fruit seller justified in enacting his revenge? Was that valid of him to commit that crime.
Like, should he actually have just gone and killed the taxi driver?
That's a good ass point. Didn't even talk about the taxi driver.
The taxi driver didn't have the intent of harming him.
He was mad at the people who stole the oranges.
Yeah, because that's what caused him to run out into the road.
Yeah. So ultimately, I mean, they were responsible for his death. They didn't mean to, but that doesn't necessarily absolve them of blame either.
Yeah.
So, you know, Jiao Yunlan is already thinking about, like, he's thinking, okay, like, that's a lot. I'm gonna, you know, send this guy to the courts. They're gonna take care of him. This is definitely, like, a little bit much. Because, especially because karma is in place, there is the idea that as a living mortal, or even as a ghost, you don't have to engage in the cycle of revenge. Even if you have a right to revenge, you don't have to engage in revenge, because the consequences of evil actions will catch up to a person eventually. Okay. Whether it's in this life, or even if they're reincarnated into the next life, eventually karma will catch up to you. Karma is a bitch.
Jojo Siwa predicted this.
Yes. So, just because you are entitled to it doesn't necessarily mean you're a good person for engaging in it. You should know that karma will take care of things and not murder everyone who offends you.
In all fairness, Your Honor, my client was in goblin mode.
So, while you or I or Jiao Yunlan might be thinking, okay, this guy definitely is a little on the extreme end. We've got to arrest him. This is not okay. Here's the problem. Shen Wei,
I knew it,
is the sole executing emissary. He stands above the Yanluo court that judges resentful spirits. He is like the judge.
Yeah.
The capital J Judge Judy. And before Jiao Yunlan can decide what to do with this guy, Shen Wei speaks up. And his word is essentially law as soon as it's spoken.
And he's gonna be like, those fuckers had it coming.
Yes!
Really?
He is! He's
Nice.
like, you know what? I give you permission to indulge in your extreme revenge. It is warranted. Go ahead. You put those people in the hospital. They were going to die. I say that I've decided that's in your right. But he does warn the spirit that, you know, that revenge, no matter how warranted, is not without its own evil. That if he enacts revenge, he will be punished for that revenge down the line.
Yeah.
And this spirit is, like, he killed his wife and child. He's fine with it. He's already that far gone. He's like, I don't care how punished I am down the line. I just want to fuck everyone up. And, like, what's crazy is, like, I am like, that's a bit much. I would not agree with that. I'd be like, you need to calm down now.
Well, I could see Shen Wei being like,
yeah, he's
you
like,
will get your just desserts in time. So you're gonna learn a hard lesson.
You're gonna learn a hard lesson either way. But he's like, yeah, kill everyone who was involved. Yeah. Kill everyone who stole an orange.
It's a little bit of less sympathy for humans here.
Yes. Yes, that's a good point.
Like, I could see, what's the other guy? Jiao Yunlan?
Yeah, Jiao Yunlan.
Jiao Yunlan being like, oh, but actually we don't want all the humans to actually die. And Shen Wei like, no, don't, trust me. Like, he's gonna learn a lesson he won't forget. It's like, yeah, but actually a lot of humans are dying.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of humans dying. And, like, also, like, logistically, it's like, you don't want people mysteriously poisoned ending up in a hospital because the ghosts are killing them. Like, you have to deal with the repercussions of that. Shen Wei doesn't have to deal with the repercussions of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's kind of funny. But then one sentence from the spirit's mouth freezes everyone in the room. He's like, oh, good, yeah, I'm gonna keep killing people, because I've already killed 10 people anyways. And everyone's like, the fuck you mean you've already killed 10 people? We were at the hospital. We caught you in time. You didn't kill anyone. No, this guy's been murdering people. And that shouldn't have been possible, because that amount of evil energy, like where you're actually murdering people, is like the radiation signal from that of evil energy is like, you can't miss it. They would have known. They would have known if someone was out there murdering someone, just from the sheer amount of evil energy going about. Yeah. So this shouldn't have been possible to do get away with these kind of murders undetected without the merit brush. Which is one of the 4 hallowed artifacts that they are searching for. Okay. And so they're like, can you tell us if you encountered a mysterious figure with a magic brush that, like, swiped you all over and you were able to look as if you had a bunch of merits you didn't have? And he's like, yes, that is absolutely what happened. And I ran into him at, looks at Smudge Dinked on hand, West Plum Village. And so they have this new lead on where to find the next hallowed artifact that they're looking for. This is kind of part of the ongoing plot of finding these artifacts that are load-bearing for keeping the seal intact.
Yeah.
So they get this lead, and then Shenwei is immediately called away on important business. The seal is leaking. I wonder why, Jiao Yunlan.
Mm-hmm.
It's because of the ghost army thing. Presumably.
Right.
But this is very convenient timing, because Jiao Yunlan knows that with this information and Shenwei's absence, he's being lured to go to West Plum Village alone. Presumably by the mysterious Chaos King. Maybe, or maybe not.
The Chaos King wants them to not be together.
Or he definitely wants to get Jiao Yunlan alone for some reason. Or
Chaos King's in love with him.
Or maybe someone else is behind this as well. Maybe
Not
someone
another
else
character.
has it out for Jiao Yunlan.
Okay.
So what does our hero do, being so smart as to catch that this is a trap?
He goes.
He goes alone.
Okay.
So next slide. We're going to West Plum Village. That sounds like a lovely place.
Oh.
No, it's not. It's creepy. The hills are full of graves and ghosts that are talking to you, and an ugly little crow man Yao pretending to have the merit brush.
Pretending to.
Yes. He's like, look at me, I've got the merit brush. You sure want to do anything to get this brush, don't you? He's like, fucking, that's not the fucking merit brush, you weirdo.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. He's like, so like, this is all a trick. Like, I don't even know if the Yao originally had the real spirit brush or what the deal with that is, but like, clearly this is all a trap.
Okay.
And so like, Jiao Yunlan isn't falling for it. He's like, I don't want the brush. It's not real. And so the crow Yao whips out a bell, a giant bell. And bells, I think, are traditionally, in general, meant to summon souls and spirits.
Okay.
And because Jiao Yunlan is missing the soul file on his left shoulder, his soul is a little unstable. So, like, this kind of make him a little bit sicky.
Why is he missing the one on his shoulder?
Oh, well, we will find this out later.
It's not because he's actually Kunlun and he ripped out his tendon and made Shen Wei, is it?
Well, we'll actually... Why would you say that? That's so... Surely there could be two people missing a soul fire on their left shoulder. It happens all the time. We'll even find out where that soul fire is in a little bit here.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so there's some hints being dropped onto this, but we're actually just about to get the confirmation of this. So he rings the bell. Jiao Yunlan is incapacitated, and he hears a voice in his head. This sounds oddly familiar, oddly like his own. And the voice is calling the name Kunlun.
Okay.
So this is all but confirming that he's fucking Kunlun at this point.
I am so proud of myself for
literally
coming to that conclusion.
Moments before the conclusion was concluded. We'll get more confirmation even later, but like they're really teasing it, and it's like it's almost kind of exasperating because it feels like we've gotten enough hints to get the idea, but we're still not getting the...
I mean, when you first described it, I first thought perhaps that was an option, because...
Yeah, which, to be fair, we don't get that full version till the very end level, so this is happening first without that context.
Okay.
But, we're already... I mean, like, who else could Shenwei be devoted to? But anyways, so, at this point... We're all on the same page that he's Kunlun, but
okay.
Yes. So, bird guy shakes the bell. He has a little headache, calling name Kunlun. What's gonna happen next? He fucking passes out. Anyways, Shenwei has to come rescue him.
Okay.
When he wakes up,
bird guy's brushing his brush over his face.
He wakes up, and all of this was essentially a trap to awaken Jiao Yunlan's heavenly eye. The Crow Yao are basically the messengers of the Netherworld. So it is immediately obvious to Jiao Yunlan, even at this point, that the person or the people behind this trap are the officials of the Netherworld, the magistrate of the Netherworld, the people who are working under Shenwei, who don't trust Shenwei.
Yeah.
And we learned a little bit a while ago that they are plotting to usurp Shenwei as the sole executing emissary by bringing back Kunlun Jun, to take care of the seal instead.
Yeah.
So the magistrate is a kind of a little... he seems like a little nerdy official in heaven. He's not very memorable, but he's kind of the face of the administration of the Netherworld. He sent the Crow Yao to wake up Jiao Yunlan's heavenly eye so that he could be... Even though he's immortal now, he's more like Kunlun in that way. And he... we'll see a little bit later where this goes, but he can do things that Kunlun does and get places Kunlun can. So, they have an incentive to bring back Kunlun in any way possible, even as a mortal, so that they are not as reliant on Shenwei.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it wasn't actually the Chaos King, like you would initially assume.
it was a little Jiao who's like, I want my Kunlun back because he let me do things that Shenwei doesn't. Little does he know that Kunlun and Shenwei are about to be boning.
Yeah, that's they're kind of suspected, honestly, but they haven't confirmed it yet, which is honestly hilarious too, because there's a whole scene where they send a little messenger guy to kind of like surprise them together. Like, we know they're together. We're gonna confirm once for all that, like, that the soul executing emissary and the guardian are fucking, because we know they've met, but they somehow pull the wool over their eyes.
This little Jiao that's looking for Kunlun isn't his little cat, is it?
No. Okay, so the magic I'm talking about, so there's the Crow Jiao is just this random guy who ends up dead from all this. Shenwei, I'm pretty sure, like, punches him to the moon or something. And there's the magistrate of the Netherworld, who's just, I can't even remember what he looks like. I'm just imagining, like, a little nerdy.
Yeah, but he's the guy who wants Kunlun back.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what if he's the cat?
No, the cat is busy posting photos of himself on Weibo.
Stop! The cat is still...
Yeah.
That cat is that cat!
Yes, the big fat cat! Oh my god, yes!
Yeah, you didn't bring that up.
Oh, whoops. Yes, okay, yes. So, the big fat cat, who is, Zhao Yunlun's pet today, he found his master after so many years and has been with him through his reincarnations. They truly, and they do talk about, Kunlun and the cat, and like how the cat was a very weak little Jiao, run to litter, and like was going to die, but he like took care of it and focused all his energy into, like, it was really his only friend and the only one he counted on.
That
and
confirms
was with,
it more than anything.
Yes, literally. And like, even though like there's this whole thing with like him having a connection with the King of the Goat, honestly, this could easily have been a love story between a boy and his cat. Like, that was his only friend. And like, even though they have like
that's always another Danmei, actually.
Honestly, yeah. They've been, even though they're always bickering back and forth with each other, like, there's so many moments between Zhao Yunlun and the cat, like, as they're like, they're kind of, he's revealing how he knows more about his identity, and like the cat's kind of like pretending he doesn't know what he's talking about, and like there's some moments where they really connect and you tell how much they care about each other. Like, it's so sweet. I didn't even get into that. I've been focusing, there's so much going on in this book, I didn't even focus on it, but there's a lot of sweet shit with the cat.
Okay.
Yeah, but anyways, he's busy posting selfies of himself on Weibo. So, he is not actually involved in anything. But, actually, fun fact, the bell that the crow shook, what belonged to the cat? Because Kunlun gave the bell to his cat as a gift, and he used to wear it around his neck, and then he lost it centuries ago.
And this little crow bitch picked it up.
Yeah, and so, like, when Zhao Yunlun takes that home, like, the cat's like, what the fuck? That's mine. Give that back to me. And he's like, okay. And then he's like, this is suspicious. But anyways, yeah. So anyways,
cool.
When Zhao Yunlun wakes up, we have a problem. Okay, so we're going to the next slide.
What the fuck? I can't see shit with his third eye.
So when Zhao Yunlun wakes up after fainting, he's blind.
Oh, shit.
Like,
okay.
Can't see anything. Very bad. And so he is stumbling about. Shenwei is freaking the fuck out, as you can imagine, like a normal boyfriend. He takes him to the hospital, like a human hospital, like it's like, what's wrong with him? They can't find anything wrong with him. They're like, maybe it's psychological. No, it's because the fucking crow Jiao, like, shook the little bell and woke up his third eye. Mm-hmm. Turned off one switch and turned on another. So for about half a day, Zhao Yunlun is very quiet and subdued as he's adjusting to the fact that he's fucking blind. But after that, he's back to his normal self. He's like, no problem. I've already figured out where everything is in the dark, and I'm
accepted it.
I'm independent now. And so he's moving around like normal. Like, he's not even blind at all. Almost walking into things. Almost getting hit by cars. Like, he's really putting in all this effort to like act invincible. Mm-hmm. Like, he doesn't need anybody. Like, even being rendered suddenly blind isn't enough to throw him off his game, even though he's constantly hurting himself because he's blind. But it's both sad and cute, and it kind of reminds me of something Wei Wuxian would do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But Shenwei is taking care of him a lot. But as Zhao Yunlan is walking around, he starts noticing that he can see something. But only when something has a spirit. So if being blind forces open his heavenly eye, and instead of a third eye, which just allows you to, if you're talented and trained enough, to see spirits and energy and whatnot. So he already had his third eye open because he was seeing ghosts and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his heavenly eye allows him to see things with life or spirit to attach them. So, like, for example, an old handcrafted clock or painting has a spirit because it was old and it was made with soul in it. You know? A lot of modern objects don't have a soul or spirit, even a faint one.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, he can kind of faintly see some objects if they are the type of object to have a soul in them already. He can see plants because they are alive, you know, and have some kind of soul. He can see his cat, I think, and he, like, that has a soul. And he can also see, like humans, like, have all their souls in them, so they light up.
But you can't see Shenwei.
You can't see Shenwei because Shenwei doesn't have a soul. He is darkness. However, he does see that around his neck there's a glowing fucking pendant that looks a little bit like a left shoulder fire. A little left shoulder soul fire is around his neck, worn as a necklace. And so imagine that. You are blind, and you walk into your kitchen where your boyfriend is making you lunch. You have been banned from the kitchen because you will play with knives and get hurt. And you see that your missing soul fire is around the neck of your eldritch boyfriend.
Like, hey, that's my shoulder tendon I gave you billions of years ago.
Like, this could be a moment from a horror novel.
Yeah,
where he realizes that there is a lot more about their relationship than he knows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, his soul is unstable because he's missing that fire, and his boyfriend happens to have it and hasn't said anything about it.
That would be, like, the calls coming from inside the house moment.
Yes!
Just like...
It would be, right? And there's a moment like this in TGCF, too, where, like...
When Mu Ching sees the
red... Yes, okay?
Hua Cheng has the red earring.
Yes, literally. Okay?
Yeah.
But instead of having the horror novel moment, it is the most romantic scene ever.
Stop.
It's just fucking ridiculous. I'm disgusted by how sappy this is, when it really should have been more of an issue.
Hey, you complete me.
Like, he doesn't even have any questions about that. Like, I would have some questions. I'd be like, hey, by the way, babe, where'd you get that fucking necklace? Because I'm really curious, if nothing else. Like, I trust you. I trust you with my soul more than I'm, like, walking into shit and stuff.
Found it.
Like, okay, cool. Like, I would accept that as an answer. But I'd have questions. He doesn't have questions. Instead, because this soul fire, like, this allows him to see his boyfriend now that he's blind.
Stop.
He's really happy with this, actually.
Oh my
god. And
that's so romantic, just as that, like...
Just as that, but it gets more romantic. I gotta read this again. It starts out with him looking down at his body and seeing his souls and seeing the missing soul fire and seeing what his right shoulder fire looks like and being like, wait a second, that looks familiar. I've seen that before. I've seen that on my boyfriend. So he runs into the kitchen and looks at him, and he's preparing cabbage. And he's like, it's too chaotic in here, don't come in. And Zhao Yunlan ignored him.
Okay, but also, can we talk about how funny of a sentence that is? He's preparing the cabbage. It's too chaotic in here right now.
Literally, like, Shenwei is like a mother hen. He's literally like, there's a knife, there's cabbage. I can already imagine 17 ways you would come in here and, like, cut off your hand just by fucking with me. Like, get out. I literally do not trust you anywhere near me right now. Like, it's so funny. And he's right for that, because this is what happens. Following Shenwei's voice, he walked in carefully, then slowly reached out and hugged Shenwei from behind. Resting his chin on Shenwei's shoulder, he shut his eyes and tried to look at the cutting board with his newly acquired heavenly eye. But perhaps because those vegetables had lost their vitality while being uprooted and frozen, he didn't see anything. There was only the faint scent of vegetable juices. Then he looked down at Shenwei, who was in his arms. From the moment he'd embraced Shenwei, a bright blood red had begun spilling outward from Shenwei's heart. It flowed throughout the absolute blackness of Shenwei's silhouette like molten lava, outlining a slim, graceful figure in Zhao Yunlan's ink-black vision. It was as if life had suddenly burst into existence.
He's like a mood ring. I like how he's like, yeah, that soul fire inside you illuminates your slim figure.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's it's just like he realized that, like, I feel like as soon as he realized that, like, he could watch how, like, Shenwei is just so, like, undone by him in anything he does, that he immediately decided to fuck with him. Mm-hmm. You know, he's just like, I can see your soul reacting to everything I say and do. I'm gonna see what kind of colors you make, mood ring.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so...
touch his dick.
Oh my god. So immediately, after another stretch of silence, Zhao Yunlan leaned in closer and asked, do you think I'm hot?
I feel like that's something I would do.
It is! I thought of you! I was like, oh my god, if you could see my soul, that's like the first thing you'd ask. You'd shake me like a magic 8-ball and ask that. Shenwei's hands paused. Do you have something proper to say or not? Stop messing around. It's perfectly proper! Zhao Yunlan cleared his throat. Comrade Shenwei, consider this man beside you. An intellectual giant, a pioneer in his work, and a public servant who only thinks of the people, never himself. Do you think he's hot?
Oh my god!
Shenwei was momentarily speechless, but then he laughed quietly.
Aww.
Looking down, he carefully cut the cabbage into strips. In his hands, this simple task seemed like something to enjoy wholeheartedly without a spare thought for anything else. Whether or not you're hot is irrelevant to me. You could be a hulking giant with a head covered in scabs and feet covered with sores. You could be hideous and repulsive and still hold the exact same place in my heart.
Yeah, but do you think I'm hot?
Kinda. That's like where he's at mentally. But hearing this from him, it's romantic no matter who you are.
Oh, yeah.
But, like, from someone who considers themselves to be, like, an unlovable monster, like, when he says that, I absolutely believe him. I truly believe that, like, Zhao Yunlan could be reincarnated as anything.
As a slime, even.
As a slime. And he would love him just as much.
Yeah.
It wouldn't matter.
I get that level of devotion for sure.
You still are glad I'm hot, though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna lie. That is exactly how we started dating. I remember asking you questions of being like, do you, like, think that I'm good looking? Like, am I, like, your type or something? And you'd be like, I think someone that's as sweet as you would always be attractive. And I'm like, cool, but do you...
It's true, we did have that exact conversation.
Yeah.
I was trying to play it so safe and not let on that I thought you were hot. And to still be romantic, but not too romantic, because we were still, like, flirting and not together.
Surface level.
I'm like, no, give me the answer. Like, no, I would find you hot no matter what, though, because I really, 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 really like you, and I haven't told you yet that I really like you, but I really like you. Yeah. So, like, I give you this lukewarm-ass answer because I liked you so much.
That's funny.
It was funny. I am the Shenwei in this relationship. Anyway, so then he's kind of, like, shooing Zhao Yunlan out of the way, like, I'm trying to stir fry, go away. And then his next casual question is, would you ever lie to me?
Oh my god. That's funny.
Shenwei paused, back still to him. Would you? Zhao Yunlan persisted. Because he's also like, you do have my soul.
Yeah, yeah.
Shenwei kept facing away. After a moment, voice low, he said, I will not lie to you, nor will I ever harm you. Zhao Yunlan observed Shenwei's back with his heavenly eye. As he watched, the light flowing through Shenwei slowly dimmed, like a firework burning out.
No.
It had happened in just the time it took him to say a few sentences.
Aww.
An inexplicable sadness welled up in his heart.
Stop!
He's like, he just killed the light inside his boyfriend. He fucked around and he found out.
Wow.
He can make him happy so easily, but also bring back the deep sadness in him so easily.
That's the power you hold when you are in love with someone.
Yeah! And he just learned it in real time.
Aww.
But he does patch it up pretty well, considering, because he says, okay, I believe you. Shenwei suddenly turned.
Really?
Suddenly, yeah, he was like, will we? Literally. With no proof but my words? Zhao Yunlan smiled. If it's you, I'll believe anything you say. After saying that, he couldn't bear to look at the light rising and falling on Shenwei. He turned away, acting as though what he had said was just idle chatter. And then he started looking around for beef jerky.
Oh my god.
And Shenwei was like, that beef jerky, I'm sure, expired months ago, knowing you. Just stop looking.
It's like beef jerky always has an aura.
Yes. I can detect beef jerky without eyes. Same though, bro. Yeah, and then he's like, Xiao Yunlan really has to be like, yeah, I'm starving, but not for food. I'm starving for you. Let me eat you, Shen Wei.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and then he's just like, I made you this cabbage, though.
Please eat the cabbage.
It's good. It's,
Did they bang?
No, he dumps him on the sofa and runs away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's a good question for later in this volume. Yeah, so this is good to know because Zhao Yunlan still has one thing on his mind now that he has a boyfriend, and he's like, I gotta fuck my boyfriend. I really need to get this man into bed. I've been trying for months. I've been trying even harder ever since we started dating. Like, I know he likes me that way. Mm-hmm. I know, because he almost ate me that one time we were in like he was all acting all weird, and then he stopped breathing. Like, and he almost succeeds until getting him into bed, but Shen Wei just hugs him really, really tightly and doesn't let go of him all night long.
Oh my god.
And and Zhao Yunlan falls asleep painfully horny, unable to do anything about it because his boyfriend is physically hugging him so tightly he cannot escape.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so, and this is ongoing. This is his ongoing problem for throughout the volume, is like he's trying to fuck his boyfriend and his boyfriend just loves him too much to even consider that.
I love the slow burn of that, though.
Yes, it's true. He's trying constantly. He's constantly trying to get in this man's pants, and it's hilarious. And eventually he takes things and he really ups his attempts. So,
like what?
We'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyways, he's blind, but his heavenly eyes developing into seeing people's souls, including sins and merits.
Okay.
Very good. To continue on with the plot, Shen Wei is, of course, like, we need to get your sight back, baby girl. And so they conveniently know about a magical medicine that they will be able to retrieve at the annual Yao banquet. And just as a kind of another frame of reference, the Yao are similar to Japanese yokai, you know? So you got things like fox spirits and crow spirits and things like that, and they kind of look as you would expect. So they also throw banquets and dinner parties and whatnot. So for the new year, there is a Yao banquet happening, kind of like a night market that would occur in Richmond. And so they show up as humans to this Yao banquet, which is really awkward. Like, they're definitely not supposed to be there, but Zhao Yunlan is cool with the Yao.
Yeah.
They respect him, and he's good with them, which, now that we've learned the history of Kunlun Jun, makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because he was bros with the Yao back then, right?
Yeah.
But he doesn't know that. He just thinks the Yao are nice to him for no reason. And so unexpectedly, the Yao are like, oh, no problem. You don't even have to, like, they brought something to give to the Yao for the medicine. They give it to him as a gift. That was suspiciously easy. But they really like him, so. And at the banquet, there's even they sing a song. They're like, oh yes, the Yao, they worship this great mountain god of the west, or this great mountain god of the wild. And Zhao Yunlan is like, wait, I've never heard of this god. That's so weird. Shen Wei, have you ever heard of this god? And like Shen Wei's like, nope, never heard of this god. It's probably not important. Who cares?
Oh my god.
Yeah. And so that tips him off a little bit that something weird's going on. But anyways, the crows show up at this banquet being like, hey, Yao friends, we're separating. We don't want to be with the rest of the Yaos anymore. We are doing our own thing. Which is weird since the last time we saw Crow Yao, they were being bad, right?
Yeah.
So they are going off and doing their own thing, which is a big deal. And so they saw that happen, and that was odd. But as soon as Shen Wei sees the Crow Yao show up, he is ready to fucking kill every single one of them, because the Crow Yao from before was responsible for taking away his boyfriend's eyesight.
Yeah.
And so as soon as he sees them, he is about ready to turn into the soul executing emissary and like wipe them all out. Like, that is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And Zhao Yunlan is like grabbing his arm. It's like, we don't really need to do that. And it's not working. And so as a last resort, to suppress his boyfriend's insatiable bloodlust, he's like, Xiaowei, don't stop.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And it works.
Wow.
Shen Wei's like, the
Baby,
fuck you call me?
Baby, this isn't you.
Yes, literally. Look at me. This isn't you. Yeah, so that was embarrassing for Shen Wei. Honestly, I cannot respect him. He's too easy. So, that happens. That's a new development. They get the medicine, and it does start working to cure his eyes. Slowly but surely, he is getting his eyesight back. So that the blindness arc is essentially over at this point. He's fine.
Okay. Not being weirded out by their love interest, creepy collection of their image. Yes, we were talking about that.
Yeah, okay, so you remember how Zhao Yunlan is trying super hard to fuck his boyfriend?
Yeah.
Well, he's decided that, I mean, especially as his eyesight is recovering, like, Shen Wei spent the last few weeks taking care of him in Zhao Yunlan's tiny, messy bachelor apartment, and he wasn't getting anywhere, like, fucking him. Like, he just wasn't happening. So he's like, okay, we're cranking things up a notch. We've got to move in together as soon as possible. If we can live together, I can definitely go to sleep with him.
Yeah.
Solid plan. And so he fabricates a distraction for Shen Wei to leave on an errand at the campus workplace. He literally called Shen Wei's boss. He was like, I'm with the fucking police. I need you to distract my boyfriend.
Oh my god.
I mean, this man that I'm not associated with. And his boss was like, okay, come into work. We really need you to fill out some paperwork last minute. He's like, on New Year's Day, just do it. Wow. And Shen Wei's like, oh, I gotta go to campus to fill out some paperwork. That's weird. And he's like, okay, see you later. He goes to Shen Wei's apartment. He calls in a moving company. And he's like, I need you to move all of my boyfriend's stuff to our new home. I know you usually need the owner's permission to do that, but I'm his boyfriend, so just do it. And so he literally calls in a moving company to move all this stuff into, like, the new home he bought.
Oh my god.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's psycho behavior.
That is, like, yandere shit.
I know. But he's just like, yep, not gonna let him even make an argument. We're gonna do it anyways. I'm just speeding up the process because I need to get laid, for the love of God. But he goes into his apartment in preparation for this, waiting for the movers to show up, and sees his bedroom. His bedroom is locked. It's got this weird mystical lock called the Kunlun lock on it. Unfortunately, or maybe not surprisingly, for some reason he
is able to open it?
Is able to open this lock with this man's name. He just innately turns the dials and it just makes sense to him. So the lock is useless. And he opens the room, walks in, and he sees dozens of portraits and photos with his face on it. The largest covering an entire wall. It is like an ancient Chinese painting to, like, traditional style. It has, like, a poem on it.
Oh my god.
And the poem is like, it was a very romantic little haiku type poem where it's like, this is the first day I saw Kunlun Jun and I couldn't look away after that.
Stop.
And he's like, Kunlun who? Moi? And so, like, it all comes together at that point. Like, there's no denying it. He's like, I'm clearly this person.
Yeah.
Who was this guy. He doesn't at this point know who Kunlun Jun is, though. Like, he doesn't know how he plays into the whole origin story of the world or how he created Shen Wei. But he does know that he is this guy. And so he's like, I have made a critical error. And so he closes the door.
Pretend I didn't see that.
And he like, calls the movers. He's like, cancel that move. And he just doesn't mention any of this to Shen Wei.
Oh my god.
Like, he's letting him keep this secret. He's also not weirded out at all by this. He's just, like, saving him some face. So,
wow.
We love that for him. Like, Chilean and him would be besties over this. And, so, yes, on that line, next slide. Just as an aside, I made this very scientific graph regarding the amount of years that one character has been one-sidedly devoted to the other without the other really knowing.
Yeah.
Shen Wei has been alive for hundreds of thousands of years. Millennia. I don't even know how long a millennia is. Multiple millenniums? I don't even know what that is. Like, possibly millions of years. I genuinely do not know how long, but it's so long that I just capped it at 100,000 years to be safe. It's probably longer, and that is what the graph looks like. That is how long this man has been in love, one-sidedly looking for him and loving him in every life.
No wonder her little Xiao Wei worked.
Yeah, a little Xiao Wei after like 100,000 years. We're moving on to more important things in the plot, okay? Forget the Yao, forget the Heavenly Eye, forget the Netherworld. We need to come out as gay to your family.
Oh my god.
Jiao Yunlan. Shen Wei doesn't have parents. He's a fucking creature of darkness and gay. Jiao Yunlan has a real mom and dad to contend with. And so instead of, giving him a heads up, like, hey, I'm dating, give him a little phone call or text them, be like, hey, I'm dating a man, just so you know, giving them some time to adjust to that, he decides to leave Shen Wei completely into the dark and not give his family any heads up and just, like, bring him to family dinner on New Year's. Lunar New Year imagine bringing someone home for Christmas in the Hallmark scenario. That is the same thing here, same level of, like, this is serious, okay?
Yeah.
You are expecting me to bring home a girl for New Year's dinner? Nope, it's gonna be a hot man, and you're just gonna think that I know him, and we are really good friends, and I'm not even gonna tell you why he's here, and then I'm going to, break it to you in the kitchen while you're preparing your dessert. Yes, so this is what happens. He brings Shen Wei into his family's home. Only his mom's home. She's busy prepping for dinner while his dad is working. And then while she's in the kitchen, he comes in and he's like, hey, what do you think about gay people?
Stop.
And she's like, well, I mean, things have become more progressive lately, so they're getting more rights. And she doesn't say whether that's good or bad. She's just kind of lukewarm on it. And he's like, cool, what if your son was gay?
Stop.
And she's like, you say so much weird shit. Stop messing with me. Like, she's used to his hijinks. And he's like, no, for realsies. Your son is gay, and I'm telling you now because I cannot and will not hide it. So I'm letting you know now because I don't think Dad will accept it. But if you accept it, he'll have no choice but to accept it too. That's what he tells her.
Wow.
And there's an interesting note there because he does have this idea that if he can get his mom on his side, his dad will have no choice in the matter. She's gobsmacked, and her initial response is then like kind of this word vomit of like, kind of half panicked. What are people going to think? Like, you have to understand that there are going to be consequences to this. Like, your future could be in jeopardy. People are going to gossip about it. Like, are you really prepared for how this is going to affect how people see you? Like, it's very selfless in the sense she's not really thinking about her own personal approval or what it means to her son that she approves.
It's one of the common responses to coming out.
Yes, it's almost like the fair argument of just worrying about your child and the challenges your child is going to face.
Just choose to not be gay, because being gay is harder.
Yeah, that's how she responds. And, like, later on, like, towards the end of the book, he has a similar private conversation with his dad where it's the same thing. Like, son, this is just going to make your life harder. You've never brought anyone home before. We know you've been with girls, though. Like, just, this isn't worth it. Like, you can't like him that much. Just don't do this. It's as easy as not doing it. It's coming from a good place, but it's definitely not accepting. So finally, she calms down enough and is just like, give me time to think about it. Don't tell your dad yet, because he's not going to like it. And then she finally gets around to asking about Shen Wei. Like, what is he like? How did you meet him? Trying to get a sense for how much do you like him? Mm-hmm. And, of course, Jiao Yunlan gives him rave reviews. He's like, I fucking love this man so much. And, like, I've spent the last 6 months trying to get him to date me. And I finally succeeded. So whatever you do, take it out on me, not on him. Like, he says that to her directly, which I love. I thought that was sexy. Maybe don't bring him into her house next time without any warning, but sure. And I thought it was an interesting scene. I wasn't expecting this scene to happen because, honestly, his parents weren't characters before this point. It felt like as an adult with a independent life, this could have been avoided as a scene. We didn't have to have this scene. We could have just ignored that he probably had parents and ignored the implications of him dating a man and how that would affect his life or his relationship with his family. But we got this scene. We got him wanting him to be part of his family, wanting his family to be part of this relationship as something that will last him his whole life. He's down that bad already. And I thought it was interesting too because even in like historical or fantasy Danmu novels, even if two characters or like literally married. It's just kind of an unspoken, open secret to everyone around them. It's like, oh, those two are like each other's soulmate, but we're just gonna like avert our gaze a little bit, whether we support it or not. It's just not something we talk about. Even though Jiao Yunlan is very flippant about Shen Wei later, like, don't worry about it, it's not a big deal. He was definitely like, that was really perilous, personally. Aww. And even though they weren't initially accepting, Jiao Yunlan was able to like prove to them how much he cared about Shen Wei just as a person, and they seemed open to accepting that he was serious about the relationship, and that presumably it was worth the extra hardships he would endure. So,
nice.
Yeah, so we got that. Okay, so the final part of the plot in this volume is that the magistrate of the Netherworld, as we talked about, who arranged the crow Yao to open up his heavenly eye, he comes to Jiao Yunlan and wants him to use the Soul Guardian Order, this magic lantern that he has as the guardian, to be a key to Kunlun Mountain, this magical spiritual mountain, so that the magistrate and some other people can go up to the very top of the mountain, because the Chaos King is already at the top of the mountain, and he's built a giant array to collect souls to make the merit brush appear.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's already complicated, but basically they need the guardian to unlock the mountain path to get to the top to stop him.
Mm-hmm.
And Jiao Yunlan sees through this bullshit and is like, I don't think you actually need me. I think you just want me to be there for some unknown reason.
Yeah.
But he uses it as leverage against the Netherworld to like extract some favors from them and decides to fuck it and go.
Mm-hmm.
Shen Wei already went to the mountain to take care of this situation with the Chaos King and has explicitly told him not to show up. When Jiao Yunlan shows up anyways, he is kind of pissed off that he fell into another trap.
Yeah.
So this is where things get complicated, because they all end up on the mountaintop.
I can't believe all of this is in this book. It's not even that thick of a book.
It really isn't. And this is a lot. This is like a huge battle. It feels almost like a climactic final battle is what it should be. But honestly, Shen Wei starts fighting the Chaos King. There's a whole bunch of other people there. There's a bunch of like Yochu that show up to fight everyone. And the action is a little bit lackluster, honestly, because a lot of other information is being imparted during this battle. Like, Jiao Yunlan is like piecing together his identity, Shen Wei's identity, the Chaos King's identity, because the Chaos King wears a mask, right? And Jiao Yunlan suspects that the Chaos King knows Shen Wei and him and is wearing a mask because the Chaos King has the same face as Shen Wei.
Ooh.
The Chaos King, Jiao Yunlan suspects, and is all but confirmed, is the other King of the Gui. Huh. There were two back then. We only saw the one, but this Chaos King...
And they both made the same corporal form.
Yeah, they both look the same.
Okay.
They both were brothers, essentially. And that's because we know that the Chaos King came from beneath the fucking seal in the place of great respect. He's like the king of the Yochu. Like, this is him. This is the king of the Gui. But he wears a mask because he has the same face as Shen Wei, and gets complicated. Right, but we don't know. He doesn't take off the mask. But again, a lot of information being imparted. The most important points are just as follows. The Chaos King is the other king of the Gui, likely sharing the same face as Shen Wei. And ultimately, as a result of all this chaos, Jiao Yunlan enters the Divine Tree on the top of Kunlun Mountain. And in the Divine Tree is the Merit Brush.
Okay.
So he gets possession of the Merit Brush, which was important, and we needed that to happen. When he enters the tree, he has an extensive flashback. And the extensive flashback reveals the entire origin of the world, starting with Pangu bringing down the axe, his creation as a mountain spirit into a god, how he met the king of the Gui that became Shen Wei, everything that happened up to his death. Like, he gets all of that information and finally understands who he was.
Yeah.
That's the important thing that happens.
Okay.
Before he goes to the tree, he's like, oh yeah, Shen Wei, you go home first. Leave the door unlocked and the lights on. Like, very domestic. And Shen Wei does. Like, he doesn't come out of the tree for a while and he just goes home. So it's just a weird little time lapse is happening. So, but he comes out of the tree, he comes back to the city, he has that weird coming out talk with his dad before even coming home, but then, yeah, he ends up back home, and this is where the book ends.
He's like, yeah, I just came out of the magic tree of wisdom, found out that I'm a god. Anyways, I gotta tell my dad about my boyfriend.
Literally, it's kind of weird timing. But that's basically where the book leaves off. And so we really don't get the, like, even when, like, he, you know, talks to Shen Wei on the phone, he doesn't say, hey, I'm fucking Kunlun, I know everything now. Like, he's just like, yeah, I'm on my way home. So I think in the next volume, we'll finally get some, you know, an important scene where, like, they reunite more, knowing
he's gonna be like,
each other
wow,
are.
I was the one who, like, gave you the thing. That's crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And Shenwei's gonna be like, yeah, you didn't see in that room, did you?
Yes. So I think I've heard from some other readers that kind of final battle and flashback was a little confusing, but hopefully this helps clear up a few things. I'm sure it'll become even clearer in the next volume. The last volume, the third volume is the last volume. So like things are really wrapping up. Yeah. And just as a quick summary of where we're at with the plot, these are the 4 hallowed artifacts. We already did the reincarnation dial. We already got the mountain river all. We just got the brush from the merit tree. Jiao Yunlang is holding that, carrying that around. And he already has the soul guarding lamp as the guardian. So far we have these 4 hallowed artifacts that the Chaos King was trying to get. We have them all. We can help prepare the seal. I'm assuming more chaos and destruction will interfere with that. But so far we're in a good place with the bigger points of
He's
the
gonna
plot.
come home to Shen Wei with the lights on, but it's actually gonna be the Chaos King. On the bed. Stop. In lingerie.
Oh my god, can you imagine? I would love that. Okay. Yeah, that's all I have. Kicked her.
Yes.
I forgot something. They fucked. Okay. Listen up. After Jiao Yunlan goes into the tree, comes out the merit brush, comes out to his dad, he comes home, finally, okay, to his boyfriend.
He comes once again.
Yes. Listen, okay? He's drunk because he was out drinking with his dad, and he's also in, like, having sad boy hours because he just discovered who he is, his whole identity. Like, it's a time, right? Mm-hmm. And he comes home drunk. Like, Shen Wei just, like, helps him. Like, he's like, oh my god, what are you doing? He's like, here's the brush. And he, like, tries to take a shower, and then he, like, falls down in the shower, and Shen Wei has to come in and, like, help him. And he's, like, scandalized. Like, oh, your naked body. Oh no, I mustn't. I shan't. And Jiao Yunlan is like, actually, you should. But Jiao Yunlan is apologizing over and over again to Shen Wei.
Oh.
Yes. He's like, I'm sorry. He's like, what are you apologizing for? And, like, it kind of comes out that he knows who he is, and also, like, that he created Shen Wei and put him in this position of, like, immortal responsibility.
Yeah.
And he is so sorry. And Shen Wei is like, what are you talking about? Every living being under the sun has wronged me, but all but you. Like, he's like, baby girl, you have nothing to worry about.
Oh my god.
But Jiao Yunlan is crying. And we know this is not a boy who cries. He does not cry. He does not feel emotions. That he says, if I'd known, I'd wish I'd killed you back then. I never would have. And then Shen Wei, like, catches him as he, like, collapses. And he looks at him, scarcely able to breathe. He says, Kunlun, is it you? He just keeps apologizing, and then Shen Wei, like, asks quietly, 5,000 years beneath the sky on this mortal earth, and that's all you have to say to me? And Shen Wei is telling him, like, look, everyone wants Kunlun to come back to, like, fix the seal, fix everything. And he says, I want him back too. I miss him to the point of madness, but I can't bear you going back to how he was. Kunlun Jun bore the weight of 10,000 mountains and rivers on his shoulders and more. The natural order of things, the great seal, the reincarnation cycle. There's no room to breathe. I don't want you to live with that pain. All I want now is for you to be mortal and content.
Oh.
And so he's like, oh, so I'll be a content mortal while you shoulder the weight of the great seal? Who are you to decide that? You accepted me that day because you thought a mortal life lasts barely 100 years, over in the blink of an eye. Next time I reincarnate, I'll just forget you again, right? Were you going to accompany me in this last stretch and then follow in Nua's footsteps? So he's like, you were just gonna be my boyfriend in this lifetime and then probably sacrifice yourself for the seal.
Damn.
What the fuck, bro?
Damn.
And then he gets like this nice like little possessiveness streak where like Zhao Yunlan is like, I'll never allow it, not even in death, never, do you hear me?
Ooh.
And like pulls him down, like shoves him down, and like is like being all possessive. And then Shen Wei's like, really?
Oh my god.
You'll never allow me? You like me? And of course he cannot like, by the way, he's still like naked from the shower, right?
Oh my god. So, they're having this whole
conversation
while he's freaking naked?
Yes.
Okay.
And then Shen Wei's like, his control lapses and he just turns the tables on him, literally and figuratively. And then we fade to black.
Oh, so you don't get to even see it?
We don't get to see any sexy discs.
Wait, so how do you know they bang?
Because we wake up the next morning and Zhao Yunlan is like, I'm fucking dead. He bottomed for the first time in his life.
Wait, he's the bottom?
Zhao Yunlan bottomed after all of that. Of course Shen Wei's the top. He's the one who's been pining.
No, stop. Like, I know, like, yes, but also, like,
I know. Zhao Yunlan has been chasing him this whole time, trying to bed him. Like, he's been trying to top him this entire time.
Oh my god.
And then as soon as it happens, Shen Wei is the one who tops, and he wakes up and he's pissed about this, by the way. He's like, what the fuck? First of all, like, of course we know, I feel like we can imagine Shen Wei as a top is like kind of like Long Wenju. He's a little bit rough in a loving way, but it's not. And this is like some pent up love making.
As the story went on and we find out who he is, I was like, I knew he was going to be the top, but
I know
it's just so funny. Just like from surface level, like he really looks like he would.
He's such like a proper, modest person.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't think he'd have it in him.
Love it.
Well, Zhao Yunlan had it in him, for sure.
Had it in him.
Yes,
for sure.
Yeah, I was like, I cannot stress. Literally, like, they wake up in the morning, and Zhao Yunlan is literally, like, suffering. He's been through it. He's, like, literally, Shen Wei has, like, feed him medicine. Like, give him some fucking ibuprofen and, like, herbal medicine. So that, because he fucking tore him a new one.
Oh my god.
It's so bad. And, like, he's so pissed, and he's, like, it's really funny because, like, Shen Wei is, like, feeling very sheepish about it. And so he's like, are you okay? Can I get you anything? He's like, where was that tenderness last night?
Oh my god.
He's like, you should sleep anymore. Do you want to eat anything? He's like, yeah. Like, you lie down and let me ravage you. Like, he's literally like, okay, my turn. Let me fuck you up.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And then he's like, has the audacity to be so bashful. Like, what are you saying in broad daylight? Like after what you did to me. It's so funny. Like, he's back to being like the smallest little uptight man.
Oh my god.
And then he falls asleep again.
Wow.
And the book ends.
I can't believe that wasn't in your PowerPoint.
I know.
Well, babe, I think you described that in such a clear way. I know it was out of order from, like, the novel, but I think in the way that you did it, I fully know what's going on. And if I think I read it in the chronological order, I would be confused. So thank you for doing that. And I really hope, please, guys, let Stitch know if you enjoyed that. And if you're planning on reading it, you can pre-order the next volume in the description or purchase the previous novels. And yeah, let us know what you guys liked about this book. We'll love to chat about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this, Stitch.
I'm so glad.
And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.